strong and free. Voices.
King Charles III turns 77 years old. And oh, was there a party? All the A-listers were there. What? Oh, wrong party? Oh, that's the other party. Well, there was another party of someone who was celebrating their 70th birthday. Yes, Kris Jenner, the Kardashian clan. Well, all the A-listers, Hollywood, tech, entertainment, all were there at Jeff Bezos's mansion. And I'm sure that the Sussexes were not invited. After all, they're never invited to A-lister parties. Oh, they were? Oh, okay. Well, I guess they were. And what's this thing about disappearing photos? Well, we'll find out. Also, the last time we left off where we were going to talk about, that trip down south to Rio. Well, hopefully we will talk about it today. And the Misaka Kids. Netflix has gotten us a release date. How exciting. That one is going to be a good one, isn't it? Produced by Archwell Productions. So, welcome. This is Majesty's Sussex Report. I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Don't go anywhere.
We rise, we shine. Magic rising, strong and free. Voices proud in harmony. Truth forever, crowned in gold. Our story lives, it can't be told. We rise, we shine. Magic in our time. We shine. This crown is yours and mine.
Once again, thank you for joining us. And for all of those who are celebrating their birthday in this month of November, happy birthday. For those who have already celebrated it, happy belated. And for those who are about to celebrate your birthday, well, happy birthday. And I did not realize until today that King Charles is Scorpio. I did not realize that. As a matter of fact, I didn't even really know that Scorpions go up to November 22nd, right? The date, I think. When does it start? It starts October 23rd, I think. 23rd. So October 23rd to November 22nd, that's the horoscope zodiac for Scorpions. And I kept thinking, well, I'm a Scorpio and I know what I'm like. And I kept thinking, well, does he really show signs of being a Scorpio? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Not to be stereotypical about the whole thing, but I don't know. I was just sort of wondering. My mind was wandering because all of a sudden, when you've got people who are great, who do great things, and if they're from your city or your ethnicity or your country or your town or whatever, your school you went to, we're very quick to claim them as ours. You're like, oh, I know who she is. She went to my high school. Oh, I know this person. They're from my country. Blah blah blah. Now, when the person is not great, right? When they're not, when they're not great, no, you're like, yeah, they're they're from where I'm from. Damn, right? I'm not saying that the king is anything, okay? I'm just saying, in general, how we will claim those that are doing great things and those that are not doing also great, we don't want to claim them. Anywho's and anyhows, the king celebrated his 77th birthday and he celebrated at his home in, he went to his home in Highgrove. He also went out south of Wales. He went to the Safarfel Castle, which is celebrating its 200th anniversary. It's fantastic. There, they welcomed the king and his wife, and they sang him happy birthday. It's a bit of a surprise, and had a cake and everything. They're ready for him. Also, there was the fashion designer McDonald. What's his first name? Julian. Julian McDonald was there, and he was showing Camilla this dress or outfit or cape or whatever that he designed, and Shirley Bassey, I believe, is the one who he had designed it for, and he's explaining to her blah 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 blah, and you just see her face kind of goes the other way, looking around. Halfway through, she's not paying attention to what he's saying, but just to show a little bit how it, in my perspective, anyways, how rude this woman is. So when she wants attention, she wants it immediately, right? And I've seen her do this before, and I have a little clip to show you folks. So she starts to like wave her hands because she wants to get King Charles' attention, and she wants it immediately. She doesn't care who he's talking to or what he's doing. She wants attention because she's more important than anything else. And it's not the first time she's done this, right? We've seen her doing this before. Like, I want attention and I want it now. I swear to you, if she wasn't in bed with the tabloids and the tabloids in bed with her, I mean, it's not the first time she'll have someone in bed that shouldn't be. Okay. All right. I shouldn't say. What's wrong with me today? What kind of jalapeno did I eat today? But, anyways, if she wasn't in bed with them, right, they would be actually writing stuff that is truthful and not painting her as, I don't know, the second coming of whomever, right? So I've got a little clip for you folks to show you that, and a clip of him just arriving, celebrating his 77th birthday. There was also gun salutes, I think, in London, and his heir and the concert queen to be wished him a happy birthday also on Instagram. And the Sussexes did their birthday wishings in private, as they usually do. So let's check out the clips that I've got here. Well, folks, there you've got it. The queen of decorum, the queen of modesty and manners. There she is. There she is. Camilla. I mean, honestly. I mean, like, come on. So rude. So rude. Now, here's my question. My question is, where are the headlines? Where are the headlines? Camilla, controlling move on King Charles revealed in viral video. Camilla, Parker Bowles, control over King Charles is going too far. Camilla, let King Charles do as he wishes. Camilla, mocked after latest videos. I mean, I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, it's not because those are actual headlines. Just replace Camilla with Meghan. I mean, I read the other day this one stupid piece, and it said something to the regards of there is a report that suggests Prince Harry is apparently reduced to a child whenever he's around his wife. So you're telling me the guy who's military veteran, served two tours of combat, Afghanistan, Apache helicopter pilot, that same guy. I mean, look, I am not saying here that people, no matter what kind of personality you've got or who you are, that you can't be in many ways controlled by another person, or your infatuation or love might be so great that you don't see, right, how your entire personality and being is being controlled or being managed. But this is blatantly in public that Camilla does this stuff. And with the Sussexes, these are just things out of their imagination. Or they'll look at the slightest little frame of the slightest little video or or a photograph and say, yeah, yeah, you see, there. She waved her hand to the left. She's controlling him. It's absolutely absurd. Absurdity to its highest. And these are the people that report and that international media actually trust these royal reporters. I mean, come on. If Camilla wasn't in bed with these people, I would hope that she would get the headlines that she should be getting. But no. Do you folks remember in Australia? She just took her shoes off. Just took her shoes off. Didn't care two itsy bitsy spiders. Just took her shoes off. I mean, imagine if Meghan did that. She so classy and such so common. Took her shoes off. She was walking down doing, doing the meet and greet, and all she did was just as if she just kept walking, her heads out. In Canada, she did the same thing. In Canada, she kept like interrupting the king. He's in the middle of a conversation and she just interrupted him. It's not like she goes up and goes, excuse me, or anything. If we know, if we know that the king likes to speak to people for way too long or something like that, then you get the communication person to go up and say, Your Majesty, sir, whatever. We're on a tight time, have to go, or excuse me, we're on a tight time schedule, we've got to go. But no, she just like who cares? Now who's the controlling one? Who is the controlling one? These people, come on. Okay, so I'm jumping into this discussion because it is still being discussed. This party event, Kris Jenner's 70th birthday, right? And when Kris Jenner turned 70, she gathered an army of the powerful and the well positioned under one glittering roof. Hollywood names, tech titans, merchandising giants, the sort of people who do not simply attend the party, but shape industries by their mere presence. It was a night woven from influence, money, and mutual benefit. The kind of room where a single conversation can redirect the course of a business or or a brand. And in the midst of that constellation, the question began to stir, right? Whether or not should the Sussexes have been there? Should they have attended? The debate itself is to me very familiar. To us, it should be familiar. Whether Harry and Meghan appear anywhere, whenever they do, at an event, in a photo, or even in silence. The same chorus rises from the UK tabloids and the cottage industry built around tearing them down. The criticisms are reflective, predictable, almost mechanical. But what becomes more concerning to me is when supporters, when we, right, fatigued by the noise or unsettled by a single decision making, begin to echo the same condemnations. That that worries me. I completely understand the impulse every supporter has, right? And every supporter have their own boundaries, their own values and expectations. When a public figure strays from those values and expectations, questioning it is fair. Opinion is fair. What deserves more caution is the speed with which people join the same mob that profits off of tearing the Sussexes apart. The Sussexes, I mean, every single day, for every single minute thing that they do, they're criticized. Oh, last year she wore a puppy. Why is she wearing a puppy for Remembrance Day? She's not British. Oh, she didn't wear a puppy this year. Oh, what a disrespect to the veterans. How dare they attend a function? No respect for veterans. Excuse me. Excuse me. Things are invented just entirely out of the air to criticize them. And here's where my own perspective, I guess, where I've sort of settled. I do not know Harry and Meghan personally. I don't know them. Yet everything I have observed, their consistency, their integrity, their long-term thinking, has taught me to trust that their decisions are rarely just spontaneous or shallow. Even choices that seem odd in the moment often reveals their reasoning in time. So so when they appear at a room full of moguls and magnets and shakers and movers, I look not at the noise around them, but at the strategy beneath their steps. Look beyond who the invite came from. Because the truth is simple to me. That event, that party, was an opportunity that does not come easily. It's not a superficial kind of opportunity. The see and be seen speculation the tabloids salivate over, but the kind of opportunity that accelerates a decade of work in a single meeting, a single evening, a single event. You do not casually secure time with founders of social platform, billion dollar CEOs. or those who shape the future of entertainment, food markets, and global branding. You do not casually get in the same room as people who can greenlight projects, open doors, or offer insights that change the trajectory of an entire venture. That doesn't come easy. But at that party, at that function, Prince Harry and Meghan could speak to these people, human to human. No gatekeepers, no public stage, no formalities, just a conversation. And in the world of business, informal conversations are often the most powerful conversations. They're shortcuts. Absolutely. They're shortcuts to meeting that would otherwise require weeks of negotiation and a small battalion of staff. And don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that Meghan and Harry don't have that influence. I'm saying it takes time because of people's schedule and all of that. It takes time. This is how influence is built. This is how infrastructure is strengthened. This is how brands evolve from foundation. They are led into something with reach, resilience, and longevity. I mean, none of this. Please don't get me wrong here. None of this requires excusing the questionable ethics of some of the attendees. Whether it's the tech billionaires, the algorithm architectures, the giants who have shaped society in ways that deserve critique, right? Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, these complexities remain true. I'm not taking any of that away. But influence is influence, and impact is impact. You cannot change industries you refuse to enter. You cannot advocate for reform with people you have never met. Sometimes the most meaningful conversations begin with a simple introduction in an unexpected way, or an unexpected event or room. And there is another layer to me, right? Another layer. For years, the British press insisted that Harry and Meghan were frozen out, unwanted, isolated, never invited to A-listers or elite gathering. Their presence at that event, that party, in this very room, was a direct contradiction to that narrative. It's the middle finger. A quiet but potent rebuke. They were invited. They were invited. They were welcomed. They were included because they too are part of that global A-list ecosystem that powers media, culture, and technology. Whether we personally admire the Kardashians, Jenner, is irrelevant. It's irrelevant, really. Their empire is undeniable, turning what should have been a reputational collapse. And you folks know what I'm talking about. The Kim Kardashian tape. Turning that around into not only $1 billion, but more than $1 billion dynasty requires a level of strategic brilliance that cannot be ignored. We may not agree on how they've done it. Kris Jenner built an empire from the ashes of scandal, leveraging attention, reshaping public narrative, and redefining celebrity influence to pretend that she does not understand branding, longevity, or the engine of public fascination is to overlook one of the most successful media architects of our time. I mean, I've never watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Not my thing. I must have watched one or two episodes here or there. But they're in culture. I couldn't avoid them. I really couldn't. And I am often fascinated, fascinated with the amount of influence that they've got. Because we may sit here and criticize them, and we may sit here and pass judgment, have our opinion, by all means. But when you have the richest man, family in India and possibly in the world, inviting them to their wedding, Yes, they were probably paid to be there, but just the thought that they were paid to be there as guests. So when Harry and Meghan step into that kind of room, it is not frivolity. It's not a betrayal. It is not evidence of moral failure. It is the uncomfortable, necessary reality of building anything that must survive in a world dominated by tech moguls, media giants, and cultural power brokers. Do you think I like what Jeff Bezos has done and what he does? How he treats his employees? I don't. Mark Zuckerberg, do I enjoy what he does? And what he's actually doing? No, I don't. Right? And there are countless other people that were there. Countless other. Michael Rubin, for example, is a merchandising retailer. Right? And you have other people. The founder and CEO of Snapchat was there. I mean, Oprah, Tyler Perry, Bill Gates, Jay-Z, Beyonce. We can disagree with the environment. We can dislike the players. But dismissing the strategy is to misunderstand the game entirely. Look, I offer this just as an opinion, right? As it's not a command for you to believe what I'm saying, but I'm offering you a different lens. And look, you might not care to see it through those lenses, and that's okay. You're entitled to have your opinion, right? I'm just trying to sort of step back from the noise and look at this from the standpoint of the architecture of influence. Harry and Meghan are playing a longer, wider, more intricate game than the tabloids will ever admit. These are not two stupid people. They're very strategic. And if history has taught us anything, it is that their moves often make the most sense when the full picture finally comes into focus. Honestly. Look, I don't know if anyone has watched or seen the movie Dune um, by Denis Villeneuve. And the character, Dune Part 2, the character played by Timothy Chalamet, he sees the future and he goes, I see different pathways of the future, but there's a very narrow one because in all the other ones they basically lose. But there's a very narrow one, a very narrow possibility where we can succeed and win. The Sussexes are navigating that kind of pathway because everything they do, they're scrutinized for it. Even the things they don't do, they're blamed for it. So it's hard when also supporters jump on the bandwagon to criticize them. Look, have your opinion, but going on social media or adding on to that criticism, it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. Okay, I think you've gotten my point by now. So let's move on to the disappearing photos, right? And to me, there is a detail most people overlook when they debate why certain photographs from Kris Jenner's birthday party vanished almost as quickly as they appeared. It is a detail so ordinary in the world of high profile events that it is practically muscle memory for those of us, myself, who has worked behind the scenes, uh, but for public awareness of the mechanics, it becomes yet another spark for speculation. I I learned this truth a few years ago, working as the creative director for an event company that hosted, um, launched parties, premieres, and gathering um, power brokers, politicians, people whose image or images were worth far more than any than many of us realize, right? So in that world, a single rule is carved into stone. Nothing moves, nothing flashes, nothing is filmed without consent. Photo release forms are the quiet gatekeepers of modern privacy. Necessary, unglamorous, and absolute. At every event I ever managed, the dance began at the door. Some nights we use the proactive method, greeting guests one by one, explaining that photography would take place and asking them to sign a release if they were comfortable. On other occasions, especially for larger affairs, we mounted a notice at the entrance, a large board with carefully crafted legal language, in essence, um, by setting step right through these doors. You acknowledge that images and video may be captured, and you permit us to use them for promotional purposes, right? Marketing, social media. If you object, sign a no consent form. It's simple, it's standard, it's essential. That is why when the Sussexes' photographs appeared, then suddenly vanished from the Kardashian Jenner social media carousel, my mind did not leap to any scandal. It went straight to procedure. And from that advantage, from that vantage point, several entirely reasonable explanations revealed themselves to me. I mean, perhaps, as the public was told, Harry and Meghan attended the event but did not sign a release. In that scenario, the moment Kris and Kim or their team cross-checked the forms, they would have realized the oversight. The only legally responsible action would be to remove the images. Not dramatic, just diligent. Just remove them. Or perhaps the Sussexes had no objection at all, but someone within their team understood what would unfold the moment those pictures went live. And what would unfold is that tidal wave of hate, driven by bots and amplified by those who feed into that cruelty, would flood the Kardashians' comment section. And the Kardashian Jenners, that empire strives on attention, but not that kind of attention. Their business model depends on framing the gaze, not surrendering their platform to a storm of vitriol targeted at people who simply walked into the room. You see what I mean? If you are Kris Jenner, a master of narrative control, why would you surrender your birthday spotlight to a day long digital barrel of strangers with too much time and too little discernment to just completely take over your comment section with just hateful, disgusting, visceral, over and over and over, hundreds of them? Then there is another possibility, one rooted not in emotion but in strategy. The Kardashian Jenner family films everything. Their cameras are constant companions. The line between private gathering and future television content is sort of paper thin. If Meghan and Harry had allowed their image to remain online without signing a release, that permission could be interpreted legally or practically as consent for broader usage. Suddenly, their likeness could appear in a Kardashian anniversary special, an episode arc, or a behind the scenes feature. Unless they were being compensated handsomely, why would they ever allow that? They shouldn't. So, in that context, a quiet request to take the images down becomes not a slight, but a safeguard, a boundary, a professional courtesy between two powerful brands that must protect their image as fiercely as they protect their integrity. So each of these scenarios is plausible, right? Perhaps one is true, perhaps none are. But what remains certain is the public has has seized on a non-event and tried to spin it into a storm. right? That is what the tabloids do. That's what the UK media does. That is what these royal rota people do. The machinery of outrage demands constant fuel. And where there's none that exist, they just invent it. They just invent it. But sometimes a removal is not a rebuke. Sometimes an absence is not an insult. Sometimes a vanished photographs is nothing more than what it appears to be: the quiet enforcement of industry standard procedures. That's it. As easy as that. I rest my case.
Special, mate. Incredible how one woman can make people so angry. And I'm back with another UK media. Tabloids are obsessed with Meghan and Harry. Now, I'll be the first to say I'm not a big fan of the Kardashians, none of them. However, Meghan and Harry mixing with them, that's their business. But the UK media is still mad. We have the Daily Mail here. Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner delete photos with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle from Starside of Bash. Potentially they're saying it was Meghan and Harry who said no photos. I thought it might be on their stories. Either way, anything that the UK media and tabloids can do to make Harry and Meghan look bad, this is just, 101. Who really cares? They were there. Okay, this one's hilarious. The Daily Express. Meghan Markle mocked as newest release clashes with Kate's event. How very dare they? Kate versus Meghan again and again. And they said Meghan Markle's festive Netflix special may have been moved so it overshadows Princess Kate's carol service. And wouldn't you bloody believe it? While a date for the Princess of Wales annual concert has not been confirmed. It's not even confirmed. And they're trying to say that Meghan is overshadowed. Yet they can just make up rubbish and say that Meghan is overshadowing Kate. Of course, it was the non-journalist, Kinsey Schofield, who just pops up to talk about Meghan whenever she can. She said, are we going to talk about the fact that it directly conflicts with Catherine's carol concert? She's done this so it's released basically the day before. And the reason why I think it's interesting, or the date specifically is interesting, is because she either didn't know, she lied, or plans changed. Kinsey, get her life. Then we have Angela Levin, who's obviously there to talk about Meghan and Harry because that's all she talks about. GB No News. Meghan Markle shares iconic footage of Prince Harry rushing to action in Afghanistan. And I won't waste your time with what they're talking about because we know what they're talking about. Nonsense. Then we have the Express. Again, so many articles from the Express. King Charles has sorted Andrew and Fergie. Now he must do one thing with Harry and Meghan. They'll never stop trying to compare Andrew and Harry. Very, very, very different. Then we've got the Mirror and we've got Meghan talking in code now. Meghan sends coded message to fans as photo snub sparks huge mystery. Imagine being a journalist and just like tapping away all day just making up nonsense about people and things that you don't know. Okay, then we've got the Daily Mail. Meghan Markle joked that she was a bit rusty on the set of her new film. I don't think it's her film, but had obviously rehearsed her lines in advance. Well, she's a professional. She knows what she's doing. She's been acting for a good time. And also, from what I've heard, she's not returning to acting. She's just doing a guest spot. I think she'll be quite tongue-in-cheek. I think the film will be quite tongue-in-cheek as well. And while I'm here, just some free publicity. With love, Meghan. You don't have to watch it, but the holiday celebration is on Netflix from December 3. And as always, if the thought of these two make you mad, stay mad.
Once again, thank you for being here. Every time you watch, comment, or share, it means more than you know. I pour my heart into this work because I believe in it. And clearly, if you're here, something brought you to, and it's not my pretty face. If you haven't subscribed yet, this is your moment. Click that button. It's free, and it makes a real difference. And hit the notification bell so you will be one of the first people to be notified when something new and meaningful goes up. If you feel moved by what we're building, consider going a step further. There's a Buy Me a Coffee link and a membership option if you'd like to help us keep this going strong. It's like lighting a little candle for something you believe in. And whether you're here quietly or loud and proud, leave a comment if you can. It helps the message travel. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Do you remember when Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, pregnant, and when she gave birth, her and Prince Harry had discussed to keep things at a certain point between just them. And when the time came, the expectation was that she would do as all other royal mothers to be did, which was to go to St. Mary's, the Lido wing of St. Mary's Hospital. But instead of doing that, Meghan and Prince Harry, especially with the, I would say, um, um, thoughtfulness of Meghan, chose to go to the Portland Hospital in London instead. If you recall, the Portland Hospital, a big deal was made of it because it's where wealthy or well-to-do or celebrities or so on go to deliver their baby. And not many people, especially in that royal rota, rotten set of people, truly discussed that one of the big reasons why Meghan wanted to go to Portland Hospital was because she would be able, sorry, she would be able to have her own doctor and people that she trusted. She would be able to have the baby delivered by the doctor that she trusted. Notwithstanding that she was also of a certain age where you are delivering a child, a baby for the first time, there's extra care that needs to happen. At the St. Mary's Hospital, she wouldn't be able to have the doctor she trusted. It would be the royal whatever, right? Or a doctor that they assigned, or whatever the procedure is. I'll say this, and I've said it before. What happened to Meghan in behind those palace walls? We don't know. And I don't even want to start to imagine it. If you recall when she said, I haven't even told 5% or whatever the percentage was that she said that she hasn't even disclosed of the things that they put her through when she was pregnant and having thoughts of unaliving herself at that stage. So imagine what they were doing to her. So her decision was a wise decision because we also know what happened in South Africa. And thank God for that nanny, that the grace of God, the angels said to her, pick the baby up, pick Prince Archie up and take him with you. Because if she had not, I don't want to fathom what would have happened. Everything we have seen from those people, we know they're capable of unspeakable things. And to say all of this, I tell you all of this because there is a viral video going around on TikTok, and I saw only a portion of it because I couldn't watch the entire thing. I just couldn't because it infuriates me so much. And 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 rage is not something that I want to entertain or have settled in my being. To watch a young black woman screaming with pain as what I believe to be her first child, first delivery, and to have that nurse sit there and not care a second. You see, to so many of us, we cannot fathom that there is such cruelty and evil in this world, especially when it's someone who is in healthcare. When you, in your most vulnerable time of your lives, when you're ill, you're sick, you're in pain, you need to trust your life and put it in the hands of these people. She didn't care. Everything she did on purpose to delay treatment to that young mother and her baby. So trigger warning here. I'm not going to show the entire thing video on the young mother. I'll show just a little part of it. But then I'll show a follow-up that her mother goes into details. I did a video a long time ago on this channel. I'll try and locate it again and pin it or something, where I talked about this issue in the US, in Canada, in the UK. A black woman is three times higher of dying during labor in the US than a white woman. And when you watch and see the disdain in this woman's face, I understand. You see the devil, evil, absolute evil. So when Meghan Sussex, the Duchess of Sussex, chose not to go to St. Mary's to have her baby delivered, God knows what he was doing. God knows.
Yes. Are you able to call the anesthesiologist? Someone is coming to take you to labor and delivery. That's not what I asked. I cannot help. Thank you.
She called ahead of time. Hello, TikTok family. This is a follow-up on the video that I posted earlier. So, I was at work. I had no idea of the of the activity that was going on. My daughter's texting me, calling me. I didn't know what was going on. So finally I get home, they tell me about the video, and a lot of you was asking about a follow-up and to explain the situation. So this is the situation. My daughter went into active labor at home. We took her to the hospital. She called ahead of time, so we know they are expecting us. However, we get there to the emergency room. We watching nurses, putting gloves on, running to the door. They get outside of the door, and I drive a black SUV, and they look at my vehicle, and one of the nurses come up to the window, and she goes, I'm sorry, this is for ambulance only. I said, well, my daughter is in active labor. And she was like, okay, she said, but you're going to have to go to the front. I'm like, I have to drive to the front. And they said, yeah, you have to drive to the front. Okay, another redhead. And so I'm like, so she's you hear, and it was like, yeah, she started bagging up, hit the button, went back inside the building. So I go around to the front. I get out of the car. Again, this girl is in more pain now than she was when we first left the house. And she starts saying, I feel pressure, I feel pressure. I said, take deep breaths. I ran in. I said, hey, my daughter's in the car. I went to emergency. They told me I had to come to the front. So the lady was like, what's your daughter's name? Told her Kiara Jones. She gets out some paperwork, start typing in her name. I was like, ma'am, do you have a wheelchair or anything? She's in a car. I need to get her in. Oh, if you check on the other side of those doors where the vending machine's at, there should be a wheelchair out there. There's no wheelchair out there. So she gets up, she walks in the back, and she come to the door with a wheelchair. She said, here you go, ma'am. I said, excuse me, you're not going to come with me? And she was like, no. Oh, okay. So, a police officer was in the lobby. He gets up. He grabbed a wheelchair. He goes out the door with me. He said, come on, I got you. Went out there. She is on hands and knees in the back of the vehicle. And I'm like, oh, shit, what is going on? And then she goes, it's in my ass. And I was like, what? And the guy was like, and she was like, he said, okay, she was like, give me a minute. She could not move. So when that contraction eased, we put her in a wheelchair. He said, you can go park your car, because they, again, had people out there. So I went park my car. It wasn't even 30 seconds. I run back in the building. She's just there with a stack of papers in her hand, screaming that this baby is coming. This baby is coming. I look at the registers behind the window, and they looking at me, and they was like, well, we can't do anything until she signed the papers. Are you fucking kidding me? So I grabbed the papers, and of course, it's all ER bullshit that they have. And I was like, you want her to sign this, and she's in active labor. And they was like, okay. I was like, ma'am, she was supposed to be induced earlier today at 8 o'clock. And they called and told her that they will call her because they didn't have beds. And they would let her know. And no one ever called back. They called back every hour on an hour. And it was like, no, we'll call you back. And then finally, her water break, she called them. They tell her to come in. So why is she signing these papers? We need her in labor and delivery. And it was like, ma'am, I'm sorry. So the charge nurse comes out. And she saw the paper signed. What fucking, are you serious right now? And she closes the door. And then the lady behind the window, at this point, my daughter, scribbled her name on all the papers. We gave it to her. She says, thank you. She walked it around to the charge nurse. She opened up the door. My daughter is literally like having a contraction. And she's just standing there in the door. So we push her into the door. I said, can we get her into labor and delivery? She said, no, we have to fill out all this paperwork. I have to do the paperwork and get her a band before we can send her upstairs. So that was the video that you guys saw that I initially posted. So the next video that has no picture on it was when I was pushing her in and we was at the window because they asked me to move her from the window so they can take care of the guests or, patients that was coming in and out. Do not go to this hospital. This hospital is ghetto as hell. They do not care about black women or their babies. This is crazy. I read about stuff like this all the time, but to see this firsthand, this lady did not care. None of them. It wasn't until we got into labor and delivery where we saw an ounce of care or sympathy for her. Before then, they can care less. She did not care if she gave birth in that wheelchair. That was not her problem or her concern.
It is so. I don't even know if the word is sad, really. I don't think there's a word for what we witness, for what is delivered. Because you can say, yes, it's racism, it's inhumanity, but it's more than that. You know? It's more than that. Because it goes to the soul of the person, to the soul, the heart of the person that has the capacity to just refuse to acknowledge that you exist, and is actively doing everything possible in their hands for you to truly not exist. In the US, Black women face maternal mortality rates nearly 3 times higher than their white peers, with widespread disparities in quality of care and chronic conditions such as preeclampsia and postpartum depression. In 2025 alone, these disparities are projected to cost Black women 350,000 healthy life years. In Canada, preterm birth rates and HIV/AIDS risk are dramatically higher for Black women. Cancer diagnosis and survival rates also lag, often due to poor access to screening and systemic medical neglect, prompting new national reporting initiatives in late 2025. In the UK, Black women remain at more than double the risk of dying in childbirth compared to white women. Mental health issues and discrimination are prevalent, with nearly half of Black women's labor related health concerns ignored by care providers. Recent government and grassroots reforms are largely ongoing, facing criticism for slow progress. Hmm. I know I might do something silly and just the next clip to be something funny, because this is heavy. We know it.
You and Dr. Huxtable like some coffee?
Coffee?
Yeah, coffee.
You mean you're gonna get it?
Yes? You're surprised?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Huxtable. I didn't think you did that kind of thing.
What kind of thing?
You know, serve.
Serve whom?
Serve him.
Oh, serve him! As in serve your man?
Well, yeah.
Let me tell you something, Elvis. You see, I am not serving Dr. Huxtable, okay?
Okay.
That's the kind of thing that goes on in a restaurant. Now, I'm going to bring him a cup of coffee, just like he brought me a cup of coffee this morning. And that, young man, is what marriage is made of. It is give and take 50-50. And if you don't get it together and drop these macho attitudes, you are never going to have anybody bringing you anything, anywhere, any place, anytime, ever. Now, what would you like in your coffee?
Maybe I could get you some coffee.
All right, so here we are finally to talk about Prince William's trip to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil and what it really signifies, right? Because I believe, and I'm going to argue this, that there is more to his trip to Brazil than meets the eye. Now, we all know about how he was received. We know about some of the criticism in regards to him flying there on private jet, having helicopters at home that takes him from one palace to another, vacationing on super yachts, right? Owning all of these castles and mansions and so on. And one of the things that received a lot of press in Brazil was the sort of almost very comedic and colonial kind of mentality of the chef, that famous Brazilian chef who offered to do the sustainable meal and using one of Brazil's fish. And they just didn't get it. And when I mean they, I mean William and his best buddy friend. Because you see, when they're entering here with a very colonial, superior mentality. They wanted vegan. What it reminds us of is when these charities, for example, coming from Western countries, Western society, and they would go into Africa or South America, mainly Africa for the most part, and they would get there and they'll say, "Oh, we're gonna bring you water," and they build these structures and this and that, and never asking the people, well, what works for you and how might we help in your process? Because the mentality is we know better. We know better. Even though we don't live on your land, we know better. And all of it has failed. And that was the same mentality in which that whole menu fiasco happened. But here is some truth that I'm going to say that perhaps some people may not like. William was well received. In general, he was. Once he got there, he received good press. There was an audience, there's people there to see him. And there's a reason why all of that is happening. So hear me out, because there is more to this than meets the eye. So there are moments in royal history when a single journey, a simple step off a plane, begins to reshape a region the monarchy barely considered. And South America is one of those regions. Unlike Africa, unlike Asia, unlike the Caribbean, South America has never been a natural sphere of British influence. Spain and Portugal ruled that chapter of the world. Guyana is the lone exception, the only English speaking former British colony on the continent. But it stands apart culturally, politically, historically. For decades, the British royal family sort of dipped in and out of South America like guests passing through a foreign house. Queen Elizabeth in Brazil in 1968, Princess Anne in Colombia in 1997, Charles and Camilla in 2014. Those were respectful visits, yes. Traditional diplomatic tour, yes, but never a true sustained presence, never a region the monarchy invested in building long-term relationship with. That quiet, overlooked map changed in 2024. Now, who can tell me what happened in 2024? What would make the map changed? And when I say the map, not the physical map, but what happened in 2024 that would have made the palace take a deeper look? Well, let me refresh your memory. When Prince Harry and Meghan arrived in Colombia at the invitation of Vice President Francia Marquez, something happened that no one inside the palace had prepared for. They had not. Their visit wasn't ceremonial. It wasn't one of these stiff or prepackaged visits. It was alive. It was modern. They moved through Bogota, Cartagena, Palenque, listening, learning, engaging. They visited San Basilio de Palenque, the first free African town in the Americas. They spoke about identity, culture, resilience. The Duchess of Sussex spoke Spanish, attended conference for women, and the Colombian press, Spanish language press, Afro-Colombian media, youth platforms embraced them warmly, enthusiastically, without the cold formality that often trails the British monarchy. I can testify to this. I mean, the news commentators, the entertainment commentators were completely in awe and in shock of not only how approachable Meghan and Harry were. They loved Meghan's fashion. They loved when she was speaking Spanish. They loved how all of this stuffy formality was stripped away. They loved it. Harry and Meghan did in 4 days what the institution has failed to do for decades. They connected genuinely, culturally, humanly. And make no mistakes, the palace noticed. Because influence for the monarchy is territory. Don't forget that. Influence for the monarchy is territory, not physical territory, but symbolic terrain. Areas of global relevance, regions where the crown still matters, where that mystique, that reverence of monarchy, of king, prince, princess, duke, duchess matters. We know from Harry's own words that William once told him, Africa is mine, a statement that reveals the underlying truth. The institution assigns regions like fiefdoms, like inherited grounds. The heir chooses his space. The despair is expected to fall into the shadows. But Africa has grown more complex. Post-colonial awareness, Republican sentiment, and shifting attitudes have made royal engagement harder. And William knows that. Then Harry and Meghan stepped into South America, a region untouched by British colonial guilt and open to fresh modern engagement. And they were welcomed. They were welcomed. That reception changed the monarchy's calculations overnight. Overnight. And this is where the story for me sharpens. Because shortly after the Sussexes left Colombia, the headline dropped. Right? The Earthshot Prize will be held in Rio de Janeiro in 2025. Not London, not Sydney, not Berlin, not even Georgetown, Guyana, which is in South America and a former British colony. They could have even said Trinidad and Tobago. But no. Brazil. Brazil. William arrives in Rio in November 2025. Cameras in tow, stepping onto a stage the monarchy had ignored for too long. And suddenly, the palace is talking about biodiversity, the Amazon. We just made that decision because COP30 was being held here in Brazil, so we just came also. Really? Latin America leadership. Suddenly, South America matters. The timing is too pointed to ignore. Harry and Meghan opened the door. They opened a door, and William the heir, the institution's chosen son, rushed right through it, not just to match his brother's momentum, but to overtake it, to reclaim the spotlight, to ensure the region aligns with the crown, not with the independent Sussex brand. Why the heck do you think he was playing volleyball? Why the heck do you think he was walking around as if he was the freaking Pope, holding babies and kissing babies and taking selfies? Royals are not supposed to be taking selfies. I mean, look at that disgraceful display of him putting his hand down his crotch to fit to what? To put to push his shirt down properly. I can do that. Anyone can do that without shoving your entire hand down your damn crotch. But you see, he's on the beach of Copacabana and he feels these are the people who are going to identify with me. I'm going to show him a regular dude. I'm just a regular guy. A regular guy. So this isn't petty jealousy. It is strategic rivalry. It is institutional instinct. The monarchy cannot afford to let a non-working royal, quote unquote, couple succeed where the heir has not yet planted a flag. And Earthshot is William's flagship, his identity project, his bid for global relevance. By choosing Brazil, William is not simply promoting environmental change, he is asserting dominance over a region his brother revitalized with his sister-in-law. This is what the monarchy does. It follows relevance. It absorbs momentum. Whenever Harry gains ground, the palace recalibrates to pull the narrative back towards the heir. We see it all the time. That's why this every single day in the newspapers, in their stupid shows and programs. Every single day. If Africa was once William's territory, a claim Harry says was made outright, then South America has become the new frontier. A frontier the Sussexes awoken. A frontier the institution now wants to control. And a frontier where two brothers, once united in purpose, now move like quiet rivals on a global stage. What we are witnessing is not coincidence, my friends. It is pattern. It is history. It is a monarchy fighting to remain relevant, and a brother determined not to be eclipsed. And South America, once a footnote in royal history, has suddenly become the proven ground. And that is my theory. That is my theory. I hope you're able to follow along. I hope I made some sense. But that's what patterns show me. That is what my research tells me. And let's see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And that's okay. but that's what the patterns are showing. Well, you've hung around quite a long time, so thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. Thank you for supporting this channel. And take care. I'm going to say adios for now, and much love. A lot of today's episode was a little bit heavy and all of that, but trying to balance things, right? I hope you learned something. If not, I hope at least you were entertained. Thank you for being here. God bless. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves and your loved ones. Bye for now. Mwah. Oh, I completely forgot. And one last thing. The Masaka kids. We'll talk about them in the next episode, okay? All right, that's it. For real. Ciao, ciao. Mwah.